Welcome to Deep Dark Depths, where reality is often far more terrifying than fiction, lurking just beyond the edge of sight. Tonight we explore 3 disturbing true stories sent in by viewers, proving that the scariest monsters are sometimes real people. These tales will take you from haunted alleyways to locked bedrooms, and finally to a tragic, rainy street corner at night. Prepare yourself for the first chilling account, a ghostly encounter that terrified a group of hardened construction workers years ago. Our first harrowing tale takes us to a dilapidated neighborhood where a construction crew was tasked with renovating an old house. The area was quiet and abandoned, the kind of place where history seems to cling to the peeling paint and bricks. As they worked through the morning, one of the workers felt a strange sensation of being watched from the nearby shadows. He turned his gaze toward the narrow alleyway running alongside the property, expecting to see a stray dog or cat. Instead of an animal, he saw a human figure standing motionless in the gloom, staring directly back at the crew. The man's appearance was shocking and deeply unsettled the worker. His face looked swollen and covered in strange, lumpy growths. Even more disturbing was the wide and unnatural smile plastered across his face, a grin that did not reach his eyes. Terrified by the sight, the worker quickly alerted his colleagues, pointing a trembling finger toward the dark figure in the alley. The entire crew stopped their work to look, and there he was, the strange man still smiling that horrific, frozen smile. One of the braver men stepped forward and called out to the stranger, asking if he needed help or assistance. The figure gave no response, simply backing away slowly until the shadows of the alley completely swallowed him whole again. They tried to return to work, but an oppressive atmosphere hung over the site, making everyone feel watched and vulnerable. Later that afternoon, the elderly homeowner came out to inspect the progress and noticed the crew seemed unusually on edge. The foreman decided to mention the incident, describing the deformed man in the alley and his terrifying, unblinking, wide smile. As he spoke, the color drained from the woman's face, and she gripped the railing of her porch for support. With trembling hands, she reached into her pocket and pulled out an old, worn photograph to show the confused workers. The crew gathered around and gasped in horror as they recognized the exact same deformed face staring back at them. She explained that the man was a former neighbor who had suffered from a severe case of leprosy decades ago. He was an outcast due to his condition, often hiding in that very alleyway to avoid the cruel stares of others. The workers felt a chill run down their spines, assuming the poor man was still alive and living in squalor. But the woman shook her head slowly and revealed the terrifying truth that made the workers drop their tools instantly. She told them that the man in the photograph had passed away from his illness more than 30 years ago. Realizing they had just encountered a restless spirit, the crew packed their equipment in record time and fled the scene. They never returned to finish the job, leaving the house and its ghostly guardian to the silence of the alley. Some say if you look closely at that alley today, you can still see a smiling face watching from the shadows. That was just the beginning. Our next story takes us inside a home where safety should be guaranteed, but wasn't. The second story plunges us into the innocent memories of a 5-year-old girl trapped within her own bedroom. It began on a seemingly normal afternoon. The young girl was playing alone in her room while her parents were downstairs. She suddenly felt a strange shift in the room's energy, a cold draft that made her look towards the door. Without a sound or a breeze, The heavy wooden door slowly swung shut, the latch clicking loudly in the silence. Confused, she ran over to open it, but the knob wouldn't turn, as if someone was holding it from the other side. She peeked through the keyhole, expecting to see her parents playing a prank, but the hallway was empty and dark. Turning back to her room, she froze in terror as she realized she was no longer alone in the space. Standing by the window was a figure wearing a long, flowing white nightgown. But shockingly, it had no head. The collar of the dress stood upright as if supporting a neck, but above it was only empty, terrifying air. The entity didn't walk, but seemed to glide across the floor, moving past the terrified girl directly toward the door. It produced a long white cloth and proceeded to tie the doorknob firmly, seemingly securing it to the railing outside. The little girl finally found her voice and screamed for her parents, pounding her fists against the locked wooden door. Her parents rushed up the stairs immediately, but they too found the door stuck fast, as if held by immense force. With a burst of adrenaline, her father threw his weight against the door, finally breaking it open to rescue her. They found their daughter, huddled in the corner, sobbing hysterically, but the headless figure had vanished without a trace. She told them about the headless lady in the white nightgown, but they dismissed it as a vivid childhood nightmare. Years passed, and the story became a family joke. Until one evening, when she brought it up as an adult, the laughter died down instantly, and her parents exchanged a dark, knowing look that sent chills through her body. Her mother finally confessed that they had lied to her back then to protect her from a terrifying reality. They revealed that when she was just 3 years old, they often saw her playing and talking to an invisible friend. She would share her toys and even her snacks with this unseen companion, insisting that a lady was there. When they asked the toddler what her friend looked like, she had innocently replied that the lady had no head. Hearing this confirmation years later proved that what she saw in that locked room was absolutely, terrifyingly real. The headless figure hadn't just visited her once. It had been watching her grow up from the very beginning. Our final tragedy is not supernatural, but a haunting reminder of how a small lie can lead to devastating consequences. This story comes from a young Native American man who carries a burden of guilt heavier than any ghost. It was a stormy night, and he was waiting alone at a bus stop, eager to get home and dry. Suddenly, another man from his community ran into the shelter, looking frantic, wet, and terrified of something behind him. The stranger approached him desperately, begging for help, his eyes darting around the empty street, searching for danger. He asked for just $20, claiming he owed money to dangerous people who were coming for him right now. The narrator felt the crisp $20 bill in his pocket, the exact amount the desperate man was pleading for. But fear and cynicism took over. He assumed it was a scam for drugs or alcohol, so he lied. He told the man he had no cash on him, a lie that would haunt him for the rest of his life. Moments later, a black car screeched to a halt in front of the bus stop, and the stranger froze. Before the narrator could react, the window rolled down, and a loud bang echoed through the rainy night street. The stranger collapsed to the wet pavement, his life ending instantly, over a debt of exactly 20 meager dollars. The car sped off into the darkness, leaving the narrator standing alone in silence with the body of the man. He stood there, frozen in shock, the weight of the $20 bill in his pocket suddenly feeling like lead. When the police arrived, they confirmed it was a targeted hit over a petty debt, just as the man said. The narrator realized with sickening clarity that he could have saved a human life for the price of a lunch. He never spent that $20. Instead, he keeps it as a grim reminder of his fatal moment of hesitation. Some ghosts aren't spirits that haunt houses. They are the memories of what we could have done, but didn't. 3 stories, 3 different kinds of horror, from the supernatural to the psychological, all equally terrifying in their truth. Whether it is a smiling face in an alley, a headless visitor, or a regretful choice, horror is everywhere. If you have a true scary story you would like to share, please send it to the email below. Let me know in the comments which of these 3 stories unsettled you the most. I read every single one. The world is full of dark corners and hidden secrets, waiting for the right moment to reveal themselves to you. We often think we are safe in our daily lives, but the veil between safety and horror is incredibly thin. Next time you walk past a dark alley or hear a creak in your house, remember these true, terrifying tales. Sometimes, the things we fear the most are not monsters under the bed, but the people standing right beside us. Darkness has a way of twisting the familiar into the grotesque, turning our safe havens into prisons of fear. Time may heal some wounds, but for the people in these stories, the scars of fear will last a lifetime. We invite you to join us again as we continue to explore the unexplained and the deeply disturbing true events. Every page turned reveals another nightmare, another person just like you who encountered the darkness and lived to tell it. Do not let your guard down, for the moment you feel safe is often the moment the darkness strikes hardest. Keep your doors locked, keep your windows closed, and never assume that you are truly alone in your own home. Like this candle, our sense of security can be extinguished by a single breath of the unknown, cold reality. Trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, it probably is. Your gut is your best defense against the unknown. Even the most innocent objects can become vessels for terror when the lights go out and the shadows grow long. The night is long and full of terrors, but we will be here to guide you through the deepest depths. Tune in next time for more stories that will make you question the reality you think you know so well. From abandoned playgrounds to crowded city streets, horror has no boundaries and respects no locks or closed doors. Animals often sense what we cannot. Pay attention when they stare into the darkness, where you see nothing at all. That figure in the distance might just be a neighbor, or it might be something that has been waiting for you. Sleep tight, but remember that dreams are the playground where our subconscious fears come out to play with us. The melody of fear plays a tune that we all recognize, a song that chills our bones and stops hearts. Watch your shadow, for sometimes it seems to have a life of its own, mimicking you until it takes over. The wind whispers secrets that only the terrified can hear, carrying messages from the other side of the veil. Imagine waking up to find muddy footprints leading to your bed, knowing you locked every single door last night. Who is calling in the dead of night? Is it a wrong number or a voice from beyond the grave. Technology connects us, but it can also be a conduit for things that wish to communicate from the darkness. The eyes of the past are always watching, judging, and waiting for history to repeat its tragic cycle once again. Check under the bed, check the closet, but never check behind you, for that is where they like to hide. We cross bridges every day, unaware of what trolls or spirits might be lurking beneath the concrete and steel structures. Our time together is drawing to a close, but the stories will remain in your mind long after the video ends. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the macabre. Your support keeps the lights on in this darkness. If you enjoyed these tales, please subscribe and hit the bell icon so you never miss a terrifying upload. Click on the video appearing on your screen now for more true horror stories that will keep you awake tonight. This has been a production of Deep, Dark Depths, dedicated to bringing you the best in true horror storytelling. Remember, the world is vast and full of mysteries, and we have only just scratched the surface of the truth. Did you hear that sound? It sounded like footsteps approaching your door. You might want to go and check the lock. I will see you in the next video. Until then, stay safe, stay curious, and try not to have nightmares. Thank you for watching Deep Dark Depths. Sleep well, and remember to check the shadows before you close your eyes.